Hello everyone, how's it going? I am WoWcrendor and welcome back to another episode of Fishing with Crendor. Damn it, Crockless!
Told you. Told you.
Yeah, well, that messed up my intro. Either way, it makes it better.
There's
How
a
are you?
Crockless attacking me now. I can't believe it. This is unbelievable.
This is
Killed it.
a metaphor for this episode.
Okay.
How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for having me on your show, Crendor, where we go fishing, apparently, for some reason.
You are welcome. So why don't you tell the people who you are? Because I'm sure some people know who you are, but some people don't know who you are.
Who are you?
So, yeah, who are you?
Who are you? I preach. I make WoW videos. There you go. What more do you want to know?
Point. That's to the point.
Yeah,
I like it.
I make the legacy videos most people know me for, like looking back at the history of WoW and putting it into real context. So what TBC was actually like, the good and the bad.
Yeah, like you actually, failed school, missed work, your family fell apart, the real things.
Yeah, getting through the rose-tinted goggles that everything was amazing.
Yeah.
We can look back at it 5 years later and say, they were so good. It's like, really? Was it that good? If you really look back, was it that good? Because I remember some quite shitty things that went on back there.
I was in high school when WoW came out. Like I was a freshman in high school when the original WoW launched.
What age is that for you guys? That's 11 for us.
Oh, really? It was like 13, 14.
Oh, so you were becoming a man.
Yeah. I was just entering into like big kid school and I'm like, "Oh man." But instead of social interaction, I played World of Warcraft.
Absolutely, I did. I didn't play WoW because I'm older than you. I played N64 all day, all day. WWE WrestleMania,
Yeah.
WF WrestleMania, and
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. I was the first person. Hey, listen to this. Let's drop some knowledge on you. I was the first guy to do the facility level for the unlockable achievement in my whole school. Yeah.
Oh whoa.
Respect the invincibility unlock. And then I had to invite people to my house who didn't believe me. That's the true story.
And that's how you became the cool kid.
No. Absolutely not. It's how other people started bringing me their cartridges. Let's do it for them. I didn't expect this. This is not what I asked for. I did it once with luck. Not doing it again. Yeah, it was good times. High school was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally like how I remember my high school. It's like I remember raiding like Molten Core and Onyxia, and like I remember my sophomore year was like Burning Crusade, and like senior year was like Wrath of the Lich King. Like all of my what? Did
you ace all your exams?
Oh no, not at all.
But you can tell me intimately how certain fights work. Ask me about mechanics, and I got this.
I got straight C's and D's in school.
Oh, bummer.
I actually, I mean, it didn't matter because, at least I didn't have like student loans to pay off after getting out of it.
I still pay mine.
Oh,
real bad.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, don't laugh at me. The smug's behind your voice. Like, oh, that's really sad. Tell me more about it.
Pretty sad. But I mean, that's why everyone's like, "What's your advice, Crendor?" I'm like, "Drop out of school, get C's and D's, don't do your homework, and you'll just make internet videos."
Yeah, pray a job that didn't exist while you were at school.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like if anybody would ask you, "What do you want to be when you're older?" The job I do now wouldn't have existed.
I want to play video games on the internet. It's like, what?
Internet? What? And then I was dial-up at high school. I had to listen to the noise all the time while I was at high school. So good. So yeah, no way. Still on GIF like pornography back in the day. Waiting 25 minutes for it to load. Like, this is gonna be awesome. Show all my friends. GIF. Yeah, everyone crowd around while we watch this.
All right, let's get on topic. There's no real topic to the show, but let's get somewhat on topic. So when did you start playing video games?
When I was 6-ish.
6-ish.
Definitely. I was Commodore 64 for real. Tape deck games. RoboCop was probably one of my first games, and it was definitely around 45 to 50 minutes load time on a cassette tape to then play probably 3 levels.
Yeah.
And that was my initial gaming, and then moved on to the Master System where I became the god at Alex Kidd, built in.
The Master System.
It's not called the Master System where you're from. The one that predates the Genesis.
Oh. Yeah. What was that called? Hold on.
I was a Sega child, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You must have had it. It was the same time as the NES.
Well, I had Super Nintendo.
Oh, look at you with your fancy machine. Your 32 bits, rubbing it in my face.
Oh my god, I've never seen this thing.
Is it called the Master System where you are?
The Sega Master System.
Yeah, that's my first console, besides the Commodore.
I might be too young. I might be too young to remember the Sega. I remember, like, I got a regular Nintendo, and then I got Super Nintendo. And that was, like, what I had. Yeah,
I went the Sega route. So I never got to play Mortal Kombat where Raiden actually screamed. That was Super NES only. You had all the technological advantages we never had.
Yeah.
So I never got that goodness. But I was Sega all the way.
I remember my friend had a Sega Genesis, and I would always go by his house to play that, and then he would come by my house to play Super Nintendo. So it was like a trade-off.
Yeah, I didn't really have anybody close enough who had one, which had a Nintendo. Everybody had Sega. So I never had the Nintendo friend, and I looked hard. And never found
all
that
over
relief.
For one.
Yeah, I never found that relief in my life. I mean, it probably cost me some valuable skills along the way. But no, I never found that friend.
I just picture you like asking people, like, "Hey, you got a Super Nintendo?" They're
yeah,
like,
I'll
no, like
the
walk away.
Trench coat. Got a NES. Anyone got a NES? But yeah, no, I never had the opportunity. I eventually did play one every now and again, but no, I never had a friend until the N64 era. Really, that's when everybody had one, and Sega died a slow, painful death.
So what about PC gaming? When did you start the personal computing?
Personal computing must have been 11, which is when my brother, who is the god of giving me access to PC games, which is funny because he's terrible at every game he plays. Like, really bad. He still clicks in World of Warcraft. He's been playing for 9 years. And you're getting spanked in the background.
That's my sneeze.
Oh, really? It sounded like you got spanked.
I have a very unorthodox sneeze.
Oh, well played to you.
I sneeze, and then I kind of go like, ah!
It's like a signature.
Yeah, it's like you're just getting everything out.
Yeah.
Clearing the system.
My brother set up a network for the first time, which came through these giant cables, these TCP/IP things, all along the way, and he played Doom. You had to press a button at the beginning of your PC load to not load the operating system because that would eat too much memory. If you wanted to play a game, you had to not have an operating system and do it from the DOS box. That's how I did it. And then we played Doom versus 1v1 for hours and hours and hours, and that was the start of that. And then it was Wolfenstein, all the classic FPS games, and then eventually things went 3D and all this fancy wizardry, which was really good.
Doom 2, 3D, kids.
Yeah, 3D. Hey, it was a big deal, man. You don't know. You'll never know. You weren't there when 3D effects happened, and it blew everyone's mind.
I remember like seeing like when Nintendo 64 came out, and when I saw like all those people in 3D, like Mario in 3D, and like they had Diddy Kong Racing and Star Fox, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah,
wasn't that crazy? So look at
that.
It
was.
What? This can't be real. But do you think the same will happen with VR? You think it'll be like that?
I don't know.
I'm so
it might
hoping.
Be. I think so. So I mean, it's like a whole new, like, it's a drastic change versus what we already know.
Yeah, it's all
like another.
Better. It's good. Yeah. I mean, everything looks cool, but I want that N64 moment where you looked at it and went, "Whoa, this is a game changer."
Yeah.
So hoping VR does it.
Because I mean, I remember I was only like 8 years old when Nintendo 64 came out, maybe like 9. And so I was like, oh, I need it. And I remember I got it for Christmas, but like prior to Christmas, I was trying to win it by buying cereal. They were like, win a Nintendo 64. Buy the cereal.
This is my plan. I figured it out.
And I was like, here it comes. And I'd open it. And it's like, you lost.
Yeah, absolutely. But what was? Let me ask you this question: what was the first console you went and bought, and how old were you? Like, you went out physically to the store and bought it.
I mean, I had. Let's see. My parents got me Xbox original. Let's see, which was one that I bought. Please, it'd probably be PlayStation 3.
Oh, that recent? How old would you have been then, though?
When did that come out? Like 19? 19?
PS3 launch dates. I'm trying to ask you the question: were you terrified the walk from the store to get home with this giant bag that had in it probably more worth than you ever had in your entire life?
No, I had a car by then.
Oh, old! You were so old. I had to buy my N64, and really? I'm not sure what year it would have been. Certainly not old enough to have a car. I had to walk home, probably a 30-minute walk, with a giant bag with game plastered all over it, clearly holding a console that was still pretty new. I don't think I've ever been so scared in my entire life as making that walk.
Oh, I mean,
I just was like a target.
All my consoles I got for like Christmas, pretty much. So I mean,
until you went to the PS3 and became big boy.
Yeah. And even then, I played PC games more at that point anyway. So it's like,
I don't think I ever drifted out of PC gaming.
Yeah.
I've drifted in and out of consoles, but I've never drifted out of PC gaming ever.
Yeah.
Ever since Command & Conquer and Red Alert, I was so hooked that I could never get rid of it. Constantly raiding it.
I remember the first PC game I really played was Age of Empires, and I was like 12 years old, and my friend got it, and I got it, and I had to go on a field trip, and I instead skipped that field trip to play Age of Empires, and I was like, this is the best day ever.
And they're like the longest days as well. It's like, this is heaven. This is the whole summer for me. I mean, I've done that a few times now. It's been a long time since I've found a game that I've wanted to play all night. And even like Warlords of Draenor was such a bad launch that even despite the fact that I had to level 11 characters to level 100 as soon as humanly possible to start making content for people, it was such a bad launch. I played it for an hour on launch and just went, nah. Just went to bed. This is so not worth it. Absolutely not. I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's right. The lag was horrible.
It lasted 3 weeks over here. 3 weeks. Wow. And you had to check every time you logged in. Can you go to your garrison? And that was for 3 weeks. It was like, is the garrison okay today? And we had it as the guild message of the day. It's like, don't go to your garrison yet. Okay, you can go in now. It was just the worst time of my life. Most of the people in my guild leveled to 100 without ever having a garrison. They went and got it after they capped, which is just crazy. That's how it had to go.
And I mean, it ended up being just mediocre anyway.
Well, the garrison? I don't know what you're talking. I spent 90% of my time there. I think it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
It must be good. I'm always there.
Yeah.
So what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
You know, it gives me all the things I need, and then I log out.
Oh, it's a shame. It could have been good. It just went the wrong way. That's all.
I think they learned from it, though, because even when they announced like the new stuff, like they're like, you have followers still, but instead of going out and getting you gear, they're like, hey, we need to go get this gear together out in the world
as a team. And maybe now we can do things like name them. It's an idea we had to scrap. It was too difficult. We're not doing it. I feel bad for them at the moment, honestly. I do.
Yeah. I mean,
tried so hard.
As soon as I saw like that you could get mining and like herbalism stuff just in your garrison for free without even being a like miner or an herbalist, I was like, this seems really like imbalanced.
Well, it just seems to have killed two professions for no apparent reason. You just decided to just murder those professions. And I'd love to know why you did that. That would be good.
I know. I can't understand the thought process.
I think they decided nobody found it fun. But then my response to that would be, if those who didn't find it fun wouldn't have it as a profession.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. I wouldn't universally just say that everybody hates it, because people have that profession. And some people really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was almost good. The garrison would have been great. I don't want to moan about it too much, but it could have been great. It wasn't. There you go. And it just ended.
Yeah. I mean, we're moving on pretty quickly. because I think the beta's supposed to start by the end of the year.
I can't wait. I mean, it's
I know.
perfect timing. Like now, I had a son like 7 days ago, and that's perfect because he was just old enough so I don't have to be there like 24 hours a day. Which sounds horrible, but you have to go back to work at some point and start getting things done.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had to. That timing is just amazing for me. Do you not think they'll launch it at BlizzCon? Because they're having a playable demo there.
I think they'll launch the beta before BlizzCon.
Me too. I'm thinking it's got to be either so close. I mean, the alpha. I assume you'll be playing the alpha. Or
yeah, I hope so. I mean,
yeah, we all hope so. Unless we've been struck off the list for some reason.
It's like I don't know. There's something about like just the alpha or the beta or whatever. It's like trying those new, like the new content and just seeing something in a game you've played for so long that's like fresh. And that's like I think what they lack the most is constant content to like keep you coming back. So whatever, like all these games, like a patch hits, everyone goes back to it, and then they burn out, and then they wait for the next one. Yeah, that's kind of like it's like the rotation now.
It's got to be cosmetic. It has to be. You can't. There's no way they can make enough content so it's always super fresh.
Yeah.
But they can add as much cosmetic stuff as they want, and I think that is the best way to go, honestly, because everything at the moment is gear. It's to the point where nobody cares about gear anymore. It resets every expansion. We know it happens. In fact, it resets every like 3 times per expansion. Every time a new raid comes out, you reset the gear and make it easier to get again. So nobody cares about gear because they transmog it as well. So they don't see any visual looks. They don't get any difference. So I'd love to see just more silly cosmetic things put in there. That'll keep people interested. And they seem to have done that with Legion. Hopefully, fingers crossed. This is the first expansion, if I'm being honest, where I'm not excited.
Really?
Despite what I've read. Yeah, because I was so excited about WoD. To the point where, I mean, I was one of the biggest hypers over it. God knows how many thousands of people resubscribed because of the content I made on WoD. I was in the alpha and I was like, this is amazing. That's amazing. Oh my God. You must play this immediately. And people were like, this looks amazing. And everyone was losing their minds. And I was and then I played it for 6 months. And I was like, yeah. Okay. So
but the thing was, like, I did the same thing. And like it was really fun. And like the first month of playing it, I loved it. And then it was and it was just like once you hit the max level, I was like,
I think it really hit home something was wrong when I tried to do a reputation, because I don't mind reputations if they're kind of fun. I'll go do like that quest. You probably did it in Wrath of the Lich King where you had the seals and you had to get them to mate by throwing fish. And you had all these silly things where you were doing stuff like that. And I'm so up for that. I'm like, just give me that silly content that's optional. And I went and I was like, okay, you need to go and do this Apexis daily, and they'll give you like 2 rep a time, and you need tens of thousands of it. So have fun with that. And that's about as far as we got with the ideas. I was like, something seems really missing here. Oh, big alarm bells. Oh, you've not done much of anything outside of raiding. But luckily, I'm a raider, so the raiding was really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm still playing today because of the raiding, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing like they always get right is the raiding. I'm glad they like finally split the PvP and the PvE trees.
Oh, apart. I know. How easy is that?
That's what I've thought they'd do like forever ago. I was like, why haven't they done that?
It's like, why haven't you done that? Why do you keep trying to make it work? It doesn't work. Look, listen to me. I don't make games, but I tell you, this doesn't work. Just separate it out, and it's dead easy. Nah, we're gonna make it so.
It's like it's not even that hard of a change to do either.
You wouldn't have thought so. But there you go. But finally. I think I even did a video like a week before. I thought Gamescom would just be the name of the expansion. I can't believe how much information came out of Gamescom. Because have you been to Gamescom? I assume you have, right?
I have not. However, I've heard it's amazing and like huge.
Well, I wouldn't say amazing. I didn't like my visit there, to be honest.
Oh, really?
So, well, we went. It's in Cologne in Germany, and it was one of the hottest summers they've ever had. And I got to tell you, you've been to a lot of events. It stank. It was gross. It was so gross. Yeah, it was really bad. And the queues for each game, like these events. So I think Assassin's Creed Black Flag was there. It was a 4.5-hour wait. That's the kind of thing that was going on to play 15 minutes Assassin's Creed.
Like I wouldn't do that.
Like, that's what I said. I said, I am not doing this for any game here at all. So it was just a lot of halls with people sat waiting to play video games, and about 20 people per 1,000 playing a game for 10 minutes. And I was just so unimpressed by this sweaty, stinky event where nothing was happening besides people throwing t-shirts at sort of like zombie-looking crowds who were desperate for a t-shirt. And I didn't enjoy Gamescom at all. So I thought, oh, well, they're not going to do that much at Gamescom. They're going to say BlizzCon is so close. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
But they're really putting their foot down on the accelerator with this one. I was amazed at the information they revealed there. And everything was kind of the stuff I hoped they would do. It really was. So but I'm still not excited. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Well, it's like, I don't feel that same hype I kind of had with all the other expansions, but I feel like almost like a joy that they're moving in like a promising direction.
Yeah, that's
kind of like, hey, we messed up and now we're taking the different path.
Absolutely. My thoughts are, yes, keep going. Good start. Keep going. Don't stop, because you, the same guys, and I love Blizz. I made a career from their games, man. I love you guys, but you still made that legendary ring, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So as much as I love you and I love where you started, please keep going before I get excited about this. Because that legendary ring happened very recently, and I want to hold my breath until something great comes of it. So I'm just waiting and waiting. And I'm not even going to get hype even if I level in the alpha, I'm still not going to be hyped.
Yeah.
You need to see what happens after that. What are you going to do to keep playing? And hopefully it's something great. I don't want to play a million alts. I mean,
I know. I never really enjoyed like a lot of alts.
No, man. And if you raid, especially, you kill the rest of the game for yourself instantaneously. There's no reason to do anything else if you like do normal mode raiding. It's like, okay, everything in the game is now terrible for me, and that's no reason for me to do it.
Well, it's like, I don't want... a lot of people, when they bring up like why they don't play anymore, or like why other people don't play anymore, they're like, people don't have as much time. Or like, all those people have grown up and now they have jobs and work and stuff, or like those types of excuses. But I'm like, I thought about that too, and I was like, yeah. And then I realized I waste just as many like hours playing other games, and I'm like, I mean, really, I waste probably more time than I used to, because I mean, now it's my job, so I'm like, all right, I have to like learn about everything and like play the stuff and like those like so. Yeah. And I realized like a lot of the people I used to play with, and I'm like, oh yeah, they got jobs and stuff now. They still waste a lot of time. They're just playing like League of Legends and shit.
Yeah, I never. I mean, there are obviously people out there who can't have the time to raid or commit to a raid for whatever reason. That's fine. I'm almost there. I've got 2 kids. Yeah. And yeah, WoW is my job, and playing other games is my job. I mean, I'm moving so far away from WoW at the moment with my channel. It's nice. So I do that all day, but the raiding stuff comes after that. That's in the free time. That's in the nighttime stuff. Doesn't really matter what my daytime job is, because the raiding doesn't take place there.
Yeah.
But everybody who said that I've had people, because we have a community guild where anybody can join, and there's people in there I can see. I don't have the time to raid, and I see them online longer than I am, all the way through the raid times every single week, regardless, complaining about the fact that they can't raid. And while there are people who certainly can't raid for whatever reason, those guys don't really complain about it. The most people I see complain about it are the guys who absolutely can raid, but don't join a guild, don't do whatever. Yeah. And that's their choice. I don't blame something else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Did you raid? Did you ever raid? Vanilla, you said, right?
Yeah, vanilla I raided hardcore, like a lot. Pretty much every weekday.
What's hardcore? Bold statement. Bold statement.
Probably casual hardcore. If you
we're turning it down a bit. Casual, guild, tabard, bank access.
Well, I raided, it was like Monday through Thursday.
Okay. That's 4 days. Hardcore.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a lot of dedication. That's a lot of nights.
Yeah.
Where did you get to? What did you think? What was your favorite raid boss?
Like
vanilla.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we started with Molten Core, and I remember we had a Nixie on Monday, and then the rest of the days were like Molten Core. And then we'd usually have like a fun, like casual raid like on the weekend. But like, I enjoyed Blackwing Lair a lot. Everybody always talks about how they enjoyed AQ like 40 the most, but I actually really enjoyed Blackwing Lair the most.
Blackwing Lair had so much atmosphere.
Yeah.
Really did. Everything fit the theme. I never even minded the suppression room. I thought it was so cool to see the like. It's hard to picture it now, but so these 40, for those who've never raided 40, man, this is how I picture it now when I look back, and probably there is some nostalgia here. But you come up that ramp, and you've just killed a really tough boss, which is Veilstraz, which for the first kill on that thing is an amazing experience. and you go up the stairs, and all 4 of you have to line up against this back wall, like squeezed into a row, and then you see 8 rogues or 7 rogues because you're a 40-man raid, all jump into stealth and start sort of worming their way through this labyrinth of steam pipes to try and turn everything off. And to see that, it's such an epic thing. And even though that room sucked, it did suck. It was still cool at the same time. It was like, oh, this place sucks. It's a drag. But it's still cool to see those things where, because you obviously in a 25-man, you're not really going to see, or a 20-man as it is now, you're not really going to see 8 rogues go off and start doing little tasks and things. But it's always so cool to have that kind of memory.
Yeah. It's like, those are like the little things that end up making that nostalgia.
Yeah, they really do. It's nice to, like, if you think about Ragnaros, which obviously you killed. So if you had 40 people and you're all in such an enormous circle, and you can look off into the distance, almost to the point where you're probably at, what were our PCs back then? Like less than an iPhone, more than likely. Like so ridiculously, so probably about as powerful as like an Xbox One or something. And you could just, before the draw distance is starting to fade, and you could just see these like shadows firing so far away. And you're like, wow, we've filled this cavern with people fighting a really ridiculously easy one. Still, it looks so cool.
Yeah. I just remember like getting knocked up during that fight, like onto the top of the wall.
Oh,
and then
really?
I'd like try to heal people from up there.
Oh, what did you play?
I played a priest.
Me too.
Oh, man.
Priest Brothers.
As a holy priest.
I was a holy priest, and then I brought out the big guns and went dis for a while to power infuse my best mage.
And your life.
Yep. I was the man.
Power infused my life, bro.
Yeah, I brought that guy to glory. If there were rankings back then, he would have been #1. Let me tell you. He pulled aggro and died so many times because of me. It was amazing. To have that power in my hands.
It's like, please don't buff me.
Yeah,
I don't want to die.
Trash. I used to buff him on trash. He's like, please don't do that. we had a weak tank, like really, because you had 4 tanks, right? That would be like the average for vanilla. We have 4 tanks, and you always do. This the guy who was like, he's the 4th tank, okay? So, well, you kill his, and then you kill his, because by then you should probably not die. And I always used to wait till it was that one and then power infuse the mage. It's only on trash. What are you gonna do? It's a bit of a gimmick. I used to heal him.
Oh, I remember we used to have a ZG on the weekends.
Yeah. Is it strange to think that a 20-man raid was like the fun raid at the weekend?
Yeah.
And you had so many people, like 30 people, trying to get in for that on a Saturday afternoon or something.
Yeah, so they'd be like, all right, go make your own group if you can't get into this one. It's like, we don't have enough people. There's only 13.
We definitely had to bring these 15 definitely good players. 5 of the random people that showed
up. It's like go on like org and just find some like people from other guilds. Like, anyone want to come on our thing? And then someone would be like, yeah, I love it. And then they're like really bad. Kick them out.
Can I get the shoulder enchant? Yes, but no when it actually drops. Yes, you can, priest, but no when it actually drops. I felt, I don't know, those were good. I mean, it's nostalgic and it is rose tinted, but it's nice to know. It was nice to have the experience that something that is the maximum raid size now, like proper, like in mythic raiding, was the fun size raid. Yeah, that was really cool because it was just that was 20 of you kicking back and relaxing, as opposed to probably 5 now, or maybe 10.
Yeah.
Like that and having some fun, and that was cool.
So, when did you start playing like Warcraft, like just in general? When did you find out about Warcraft, like whether it was the RTS or the game or whatever?
I'm gonna embarrass myself now.
All right.
My brother got me into it, and the first Warcraft game I ever played was World of Warcraft. I had never heard of Blizzard before that point, ever in my entire life. And I was playing another MMO called Neocron, which was an FPS hardcore MMO, is what we would call it. I was playing that for the longest time, and I thought that that WoW looked so girly. And this is when I was like a teen boy, and everything had to be, you know. This is when Predator and stuff was popular, so being huge, muscly, and oiled was so buff and butch. Compared to, you know, having like 9 semi-naked men in a jungle pulling a tree down wasn't, you know, to be situated any other way than the manliest thing you could possibly do. And I saw World of Warcraft with its fairies and its elves, and I was never into fantasy or Tolkien or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, are you for fucking real, man? Really? You're going to give up this laser gun, pistol shooting, kill people, live or die game for this, and everyone was telling me it was amazing. And we had alpha access, so I started playing in alpha, and then I played it, and that was it. I was lost. I played it. I actually quit the game though.
Oh.
I played through alpha, I played through beta, and then I played up until Molten Core was out. Anixia was released by this point as well. That was about the time I quit. Yeah, I ran into that noob situation where people who, if you're kind of not educated on the game, it seems like you're being hard done to, but you're not. Where people were telling me to get fire resist gear, and my answer to that was, you should be getting me my fire resist gear. I was a warrior, so they obviously thought I would tank. And I kept saying to them, how do I get fire resist gear if you guys won't help me? And they were like, well, you don't need our help to get it. And I was lost at that point. I was so confused. I was like, no, I'm in a guild. You should provide everything for me, and I should do nothing to get it. If I need tuning, you should be doing it. And I quit the game after that because I didn't know what I was doing. I capped my character, had the best time ever, did some PvP, tried to get an unstoppable force like a man, and then I quit the game. And when I came back, that's when I went sort of hardcore. I came back a sort of better player. And
how long after you quit did you come back?
6-7 months at least. But the problem is I joined the first time with IRL friends, like my brother and nephew, and IRL friends never works.
I know.
It never works because you're friends IRL, but in game you've got totally different goals, and sometimes it works, but nearly every time it's a failure.
Yeah.
So those guys were really into PvP, and they were like, "Oh, you've definitely got to get an unstoppable force." That's why I did it. I didn't like PvP for 7 hours. It was still
did
fun
it for
me.
you.
Yeah, they were like, "You have to get it." I was like, "Do I?" Yes. It's like, right, then I shall get the unstoppable force. And how do I get that? You standing AV for hours and hours on end, and you just die, and you charge at a bridge, and you die, and you do it over and over again until you get an unstoppable force. And
when
then
I was there, I fear bombed.
Oh yeah. When I was a priest, power infuse my mage. Yeah, bringing it back to that power infusion and spam flash heal on him, run myself and then tell him to blink back, and he would just AoE people on the bridge. We got so many HKs, it was amazing. But yeah, I left for like 7 months, but then I came back with my gamer friends, and that changed the game for me completely, because these were people I had met in MMOs, and they had the same goals as me, and that made my experience so much better than trying to play with like my brother and family members. All had different ambitions, different play times. You could never level together. But my gaming friends, we all played together. We all had fun. And,
I must feel like most of these games do just revolve around who you're playing with.
Yeah, what's WoW without the people? It's nothing. It's useless. Yeah. I don't understand why people. I only raid now because the people I play with are really cool and they're funny.
Yeah.
If we have a boring raid, it's the longest raid in history. It doesn't matter how much stuff we kill. If no one's feeling talkative, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, that was how it went. And then from there, I went hardcore on the game and took it very, very super serial. Super serial.
Super serial.
Super serial. Like, to the point where I was threatening people. I became the guild master. I got a guy to cry and leave the guild. I was a really bad person.
Did you really get someone to cry?
Yeah, I did. But it was interesting. I did a video, the story time of how I was a jerk. In my defense, right? In my defense, I had a lot of environmental factors that played into this. Not only was I sort of the fittest IRL I'd ever been, so I was getting a lot of attention from girls, which gave me stupid confidence. I was still a teenager, so I had like all that ridiculous arrogance that comes with that.
Yeah.
In the game, I was a priest. Everybody wanted a priest in their group, so I had the choice of guilds all the time, and was getting my friends into guilds that didn't want them because they needed a priest. And I was a pretty good player. Yeah, and I was a pretty good player. So all that combined led me to have the biggest ego in the world. And I was just an absolute horrible person with that power. And I did. I took over a guild. This is a true story. I'm not proud of this, by the way. I took over a guild that was being run by a guy who'd been running it since the birth of World of Warcraft, and he rage quit, got upset, he cried, and he gave me the guild master. He was like, fine, take it, because I basically just kept planting seeds that he sucked, and he did suck, but it was an MC guild, and that was fine. You know what I mean? It was okay to be quite crappy, but not for me, because I wanted this guild to be super the best, although it was never going to be that. I took over the guild, became guild master, and I left a week later for a better guild, because that was the kind of guy I was. So I took over the guild, got the guildmaster to leave, who'd been running it for a year or whatever, and then left the guild because there was a better opportunity elsewhere. And that's me. That's me. That was what I did.
What a great guy.
Well, I changed since then. I feel right now, but I've tried to reach out.
I'm balling. This thing's over.
Yeah, let's not gloss over it. But yeah, I use those stories to tell you people are like that.
Yeah.
So you need to bear that in mind, because I know that. Yeah, I'll send you a picture. This was me. This is my raid warning to my raid on the way to. What I did is, because we had raid loggers who would log in for Molten Core and then log out for Blackwing Lair, or not show up if it was Blackwing Lair raid night, I would I would tell them we were doing Molten Core, get everybody in the raid, and then tell them to go to Blackwing Lair instead, to trick them into going there. And then I would post messages.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That was me. Look at my benediction though, you jelly?
I actually have benediction.
Did you get it? Did you use the fire oil?
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy.
I remember. I had to wait because I failed it like twice, and it was like, wait here like an hour now for it all to restart or whatever it was.
Was it a week? It was a week. I think you had one go a week. Yeah,
I thought
it
was
so.
a day.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was a week. I could be wrong though.
Oh, it might have. Yeah, I think it might. You know what? I think I failed it once, and then I got it the next time.
Yeah, it was a tough quest though, because you had to DPS.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
It was.
I was a holy priest.
Yeah, I remember. And then you had to buy was that the fire oil on the auction house?
Immolation or immolation oil, something like that.
Yeah, because then it burned them down around you. Yeah.
I got my shadows, my shadow eye, the first kill on them demons down in.
Oh really?
Winter Spring? Is that the zone?
Yeah, it's Winter Spring.
Yeah, Winter Spring. I went down there with a warlock. I dragged a friend all the way there because we had to farm it, and he killed one and got it. I was like, I'll do. See ya. And I remember people paying thousands of gold for that thing.
Yeah, I remember I don't know how long it took me to get it. Actually, I don't even remember. I remember people. I remember seeing that staff and being like, I want that staff. And when I got it, I was like the happiest I'd like ever been. That's why on my priest I have it transmogged.
Me too.
I'm like, yeah.
And I actually sold my priest at one point to a friend. Yeah, because I played with a lot of Americans. Because Neocron, the MMO I came from, was multinational. It wasn't like EU or US.
Mm-hmm.
So when we became to WoW, we had about 3 Canadians and a lot of guys from America. So we all rolled together. But then eventually, because people thought, they're going to play it and then leave, give up like they do. Everybody does when you start a new game. Everyone plays it for a week and then they leave. Eventually, one of my friends wanted to come and play with us, and he didn't want to level again, and he was a priest. So I went out and bought another account, put it in my name, gave him my priest, and regretted that decision so much because he had my benediction. It was my vanilla character, and he was playing it. I've got a screenshot I can show you. This is him playing it, and I was so upset when he was walking around on my character, because it still had my character's name, so it had my name. It was called Preach, but it wasn't me playing it. And he had my benediction, and then this is awful to say this, but he deleted my benediction.
Oh my god!
I know, who does that? What a horror!
Why would he delete it?
Because he just said he wanted backspace, and it was useless for him now. I'm like, dude, that's a benediction. You don't delete a benediction. But a GM gave it back to me in Cataclysm, so I was pretty happy about that. Although he told me to go and get another one. I was like, do you even know what this item is? He was like, oh, yeah. Why don't you just go and get another? I was like, I can't. I've done the quest already. He's like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I'll send you one. I'm like, thank God. So I got it back. I got my priest back eventually when he quit the game and got my benediction back, which was so good. So I finally have my priest back.
Wow,
Who deletes benediction? What kind of person?
Seriously. Like, do you still know him?
No, I don't actually.
Good.
He was a trucker, a Canadian trucker. He used to keep going on about his snow tires all the time, which made no sense to me. I was like, sure, you got to put his chains on his tires.
Probably deleted his tires.
That's what he did. Stuck. And he froze to death. It's a horrible story. Really. Say about it. He just had this habit of deleting important things. Who deletes a benedict? Put it in the bank.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I logged.
That's what I did. I just put mine in the bank. I'm like, you can transmog, and I'm like, here it comes.
Yeah, but you have to swap it for anathema, because I use anathema when I'm playing Shadow.
Yeah.
I have to make the trip to go and swap it every time, but I will. I'm not going to do anything as Shadow without my anathema. I want my benediction anathema.
That's such a cool weapon.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's not just because it changes, because Shadow Strike. Everyone remembers Shadow Strike.
It's just, I just remember like seeing, because it was like, you looked at a priest and you just saw him running and saw the sparkles like flying behind him and you're just like, whoa.
I want that. It was encouraging.
Yeah.
Now you get called a special snowflower for saying that can actually be good for the game. Oh, you want to be the special hero. I was like, no, it's encouraging for a lot of people. If you have iconic items like that, people kind of go, oh, maybe I can raid. Maybe I should do this.
Yeah, maybe I should put in like the time and effort to get it.
Maybe it's worthwhile. Maybe there's got a goal there. Maybe, I could do this. It's not about like, oh, I've got it. No one cares. Once you have it, you don't really care. Yeah. There are some people who stand around in Orgrimmar flashing off their benediction, but not many. They're all off raiding doing stuff. But for other people, you see it, they're like, what is that? That's cool. I got my bulwark first on the server, I think, or second. You know, the bulwark from Illidan Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a Tauren as well, so it stood out. It stood out so much. The guy who got it before me was an undead, so his was tiny. his little tiny shield. And, as soon as I got it, so many people whispered, like, how do I get that? I was like, oh, you got to get into raiding, and you got to do some Black Temple and stuff. He's like, oh, cool. How do I start doing that? I was like, you got to look for guilds. People rarely were like, can I buy that? Or something.
Yeah.
Anything.
I mean, it's like, I feel like the game lacks a lot of that now too, because you got such easy access to epics and gear, and like it has that mentality of like everybody gets a trophy.
Well, I don't mind that. I mean, it never bothered me, other people getting gear. It really has no effect on me. I mean, you can give a 2-year-old a great sword. It doesn't mean he's dangerous with it. Or anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. But I'm in the camp, and everybody hates it. My audience always laughs and does shame at me, like from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They shame me when I say this. But I truly believe it, that like transmog was not good for the game. Yeah. It really wasn't. As fun as it is, and hey, I transmog guy characters. I'm not into it as much as other people, but overall, have you ever seen anybody really wearing like the new tier of items? I bet you could tell me the look of probably tier items for every set before transmog came into the game. And after that, I guarantee you can't tell me what any of them look like.
But is that because they want to wear the old gear, or is it because the new gear just doesn't look cool?
It's because people are already wearing their absolute favorite set.
But if they made really cool new gear, I'd wear that.
Maybe, but it would have to be better than your absolute favorite ever in the history of the game. That would only ever happen in that scenario, and only when you collect every single piece of it. Because you're not going to have the shoulders missing, or the legs missing, or the chest missing, are you? You're not going to do that. You're not going to change your transmog until you've finished your set.
That's true.
That's never going to happen.
I am still wearing tier 2.
And me too. My Paladin wears Judgment because it is my absolute favorite Paladin set in the game. And unless they release one that is better than my absolute best ever super favorite set they've ever made, I'm not going to bother changing my transmog. That's all.
Tier 2 is very good. Very
What's
cool.
yours?
I have the Transcendence.
Oh, do you? I found Blackwing Lair for months. I had one piece Transcendence.
Really?
Yeah. I was never... Because I changed guilds, like I said earlier. I changed guilds to a better guild. This guild had 9 priests, and they weren't very well organized. I was given a lot of jobs that a good priest should get. I remember distinctly on about our 6th or 7th Chromagus farm kill, I was top of the dispelling because of... what was that dispelling add-on where you just pressed the button, it dispelled everything?
Yeah.
He didn't know how to do anything. Anyway, there was an add-on that just dispelled.
Yeah, I think everybody used that. It's like so easy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, they banned it eventually.
Yeah.
But I then got a whisper from the priest master, who was like, "Oh, you don't have any Transcendence?" I was like, "Dude, I've been here for 3 months. You've never even expected me. You're giving me all these jobs to do." I was so angry, and I never got given any. I went into Nax without any Transcendence and was doing Nax Ramus without it. I got my Faith set eventually, but well, some of it, not all of it.
Yeah, I love the Transcendence gear. Like, that was my favorite looking gear. I'm like, I want it. I want all of it.
I never even got the helm. I must have killed Onyxia 40 times. I think I saw it drop twice, and somebody else won it before me on the roll.
I think that was the last thing I got, actually, was the helm.
Yeah, it was so strange that the helm was so hard to get for some classes. But that was kind of the fun of loot then as well.
Yeah.
I mean, now you get like 8 items now or something crazy every time you kill us.
Yeah, they're like, if you don't like them, you can re-roll it.
Well, you got to get excited about your loot, Crendor. Because Blizzard said so. You're gonna get excited about it because it's Warforged. Oh my god! look at those extra item levels oozing sexuality. Oh my god! Look at my boots, everybody. 5 extra item levels on those. Look at them. Drink it in.
Man, I kind of like, as much as I hated Gear Score and Wrath, I kind of miss Gear Score.
What? Shut up.
I want like
that's such a lie.
and it's not even like I miss the fact of being like I have enough gear score to get into the thing. It's just I love people like putting gear score on like the #1 highest pedestal and being like, what is your gear score, peasant? And they're just like, it's 380. And he's like, get out of my sight.
I miss gear score. So
it's more just I enjoyed seeing what gear score caused.
It's just the item level now, right?
Yeah, now it's just item level.
It's the same thing. It's just called item level now. It's no different. But,
yeah, but it was cooler back then because it was like...
It was cool for me because it was so high. My gear score was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what the numbers were. I didn't hear of gear score until months after it had been out because I didn't pug. So when someone asked me for my gear score once, I think it was a TOC raid. I was like, oh yeah, I could use something from there. And they asked me for my gear score. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Where is that? And then they didn't invite me because I didn't have the add-on. And I was ICC geared through the teeth on my tank. I was like, I don't know. How did I not get into a pug for TOC? What's going on? I asked people in guilds, like, oh yeah, you have to get this add-on and it gives your gear a score. I'm like, oh really? Why would I do that? It's like, oh, it's for pugs. So it never really affected me, but no, I don't want it at all. Well, item level's here to stay, so it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Now it's Link. Link, you're cutting edge. Are you ahead of the curve, Crendor? Are you ahead of the curve?
Oh, I'm an old man.
You're not ahead of the curve?
I'm not ahead of the curve.
I feel embarrassed.
I'm behind the curve. I haven't even seen the curve on my GPS yet.
How far is away from the curve are you?
A couple miles.
Couple of
Car
miles.
broke down. Need gas.
No. Have you got your legendary ring?
No.
What is this guy?
I haven't cared enough.
Boats! You can get boats!
I did get the, I did complete the quest and all that to get the boats. However, I think the oil for using the boats is stupid.
You had to go to the jungle.
Yeah.
Where else would you get oil?
The thing is, like, I don't care enough about, like, all the current things happening. Like, I want to move on. I'm in that stage where I'm just like, I don't care. I just want the next thing to come out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even Blizzard said that.
Yeah.
Like, we were working on. We knew there was problems with WoD, but we're already working on the next expansion. So sorry.
Yeah.
So, deal with it. Move on. I know we've got flying though, which is a game changer.
Yeah. I was so excited for Draenor, and like I was like, oh man, Shattrath is gonna be like Shattrath of old, and it's gonna be the new city. And when I saw it wasn't a neutral city, it was just a place, I was like, oh. I
think Shattrath was one of the things I was so excited about, because in the alpha, I don't know which part you played, but you could actually get into Talador and see Shattrath in the distance before the game kicked you out.
Yeah, I did that.
And I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's there. Yeah. And then we're going to get to see how it became the city, maybe.
Yeah,
or there's going to be some sort of huge event that's going to be unlocking this thing from back in TBC, and they're going to do the same with Karabor, and it eventually becomes the Black Temple, and we're going to see maybe how that happened, and then when it didn't come in, those were the big things. I mean, people say, yeah, they just moved the central city. It wasn't about that. Those places had so much meaning to a lot of us. It wasn't a case of it's just a city. It's for guys, for some of you, it was just a city. But for some of us, that was the Black Temple we read it for months. We wanted to see how it became that and what happened there, or did it happen in this timeline? We don't know.
Yeah, I think they just missed that opportunity. Because I think that would have been really cool.
I assume you went inside and saw they hadn't put textures on it. That's when I knew, oh, we're not getting this. No. They haven't even put textures on the walls. So, yeah, this is definitely not happening. Oh, it's just a shame, though. Yeah, it was like that kind of stuff was a bummer.
Yeah.
I had a good time with WoD, honestly. I mean, I just wish I had reason to log in that was more than to raid. Because I love that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it for like a month or two. And then I was like,
well, there was just nothing else to do. Like I say, if it wasn't for a case that I really like raiding, I mean, I love raiding. It's the most relaxing time I get, like in my week, despite anything else. It's just I sit back. That's why I don't stream my raids, which makes no sense considering my channel was like very PvE orientated. I've put thousands upon thousands of people into Mythic raid guilds, And they're like, why don't you stream your raids? It's because this is my only downtime. Literally, I sit down, I put music on, I put my feet up, I don't wear any pants, I'm going just raiding. And I log off and I just that's my relaxation. Even if I've been playing WoW all day. So I might be on my 16th hour of WoW that day or something, but it's a completely different experience to when I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's like you go into your own zone.
Yeah, it's my relaxed time. It's like watching a movie for me. Because I find it quite... Cause at this point, I find it quite easy, so it's so relaxing for me to raid.
Yeah, it's kind of like second nature. It's
subconsciously
rolling through it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's been... I'm hoping there's some extra challenge for older players, because a lot of rehash mechanics, you can kind of pick them up really easily.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for that. That's kind of one of the things I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to anything, or are you kind of drifting away from WoW?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm drifting away from WoW. It's more like I'm just looking for a reason to play a lot of WoW again. Like, I like when there's... I've talked about this a lot, but like when there's stuff you can do that isn't just like you got PvE, you got PvP. Like, for example, I like player housing, but I don't want like your typical player house. I want like cool, like I want it to be like Animal Crossing, where I can go out and I can like find like a chair that's shaped like gammon, and you like sit down in that chair, and like you got a cool gammon chair in your house, and you're like awesome. Or you can go and get a maybe like little statue, like a statue of, I don't know, a crocolisk from the biodome, and you can put them on a table, and you'd be like, you know what? I have a cool crocolisk on my table as I sit in my gammon chair, and like they have a lot of potential to do like little furniture type things like that, and let you like decorate a house, or even like it would probably be cool if I like instead have guild housing, because then when you have guild housing, you could have like the guild hall where like you can meet up with like all your friends and just chill and have fun, and you can like have a little room that's instance off like a garrison. But it's like an Animal Crossing thing where you can decorate it and do stuff and whatever.
We did probably a 2-hour show on what the garrison could have been. And my biggest fault with the garrison is that it was built to be practical. I think that was the biggest mistake they made, is to try and make it functional in any way. Instead of just making it entirely cosmetic, just an area, and you could do whatever the hell you wanted with it. And your garrison should reflect you. I should have, in my garrison, heads of dragons and firelords and castles, essentially castle walls with all the heads. And because I'm a PvE player now, I don't PvP anymore. So I want to reflect that inside there. But if I want to make that into a farmyard with animals and stuff because I like farming or whatever, then that's what my garrison should look like. If I want my garrison to be PvP and have all sorts of whatever in there, it should be that. If I want my garrison to look like a bleeding kids circus, it should look like that. And I should have stuff to go out and do, like reputations, which unlock vendors that give me access to ridiculous to cool stuff and everything in between. And that's what the garrison should have been, just ridiculously like that.
Like
and guild halls. Just a huge plot of land. That would have been great.
Yeah.
A huge plot of land, and you do whatever you want. You want to put a river in there, a little river, do a little river. If you want to grow crops in there, grow crops in there if you want to do that. You want to put some tavern in there where all your followers hang out, and you want to add strippers and stuff in there, you can do that. Why the hell not? You can have goblin. If you want to put a place in there to do that, or a barracks, and all your followers are in there, if you want to make it really militarized, you can do that as well. Just so it can reflect you.
You have to make people select, like maybe you'd have like a PV, a PvP, and like a profession type like house or whatever it is, or like it gave you like a bunch of options to choose, like a basic structure, and then with that structure you could like do whatever you want. And then
anything, even if you change it to reflect your race. I mean, come on, anything. Give us something to do. I would just love the garrison to be totally cosmetic, and so you can work on it constantly, and change it if you want. Oh, this week I'm going to spend a few hours just changing my garrison around, and basically make it SimCity. And that sounds really sad, but I know so many people who have spent so long in their player housing in other games, even in Star Wars now in the Old Republic, and they're just putting up little trophies, little statues on tables, going out and shopping for chairs. And these are guys who are dedicated to the game. They're raiders, they're players, they're constantly working on other stuff. But every now and again, they just want to go and buy some chairs for their apartment in their game and do all that kind of stuff. And that's what they want to do. I'm not into it. Don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't do hardly anything with it. It's not my bag. I'm not into that stuff. But I know it would have been so much better than what we got now, and people would have absolutely lapped it up. And your guild hall could have been so easy as well. After you clear a raid, you have a portal in there that takes you to the raid instance. And there's and because we don't have get this, right? Crendor, I'm going to blow your mind right now. You ready?
All right, I'm
you
ready.
Sat back. You got your shoes off.
Yes.
You're wearing socks.
I am.
Prepare to have them blown off.
Oh my
right?
god.
Because we don't have profession stuff in the garrison anymore, because it's cosmetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would obviously move to the main city. But if you had a guild hall, you can install that stuff in there. So you can literally have portals and stuff to the raids that your guild meets in. So there's actually a reason for your guild to be in there and to go and meet at the guild hall for getting flasks or whatever it might be. And the getting chance, we'll meet in the guild hall. That's where we hang out. We do all that kind of stuff in there. And then it populates that world and it makes it into something where it is your guild doing something. And you can totally just make it that easy. Boom.
They flew off.
Boom. And there's no practical application at all. You don't need to include new gear. You don't need to try and increase the item level. You don't need to give people gold to go there or anything like that. It's just a cool place people can design and mess around in, and it gives them reason to meet there. That's it.
Almost like you can have people make their own fun if you just give them a couple tools to do it.
Absolutely. You don't need to keep saying, well, we need to make new content. Like, we need to make a new giant zone. No! Just give us something to do that never ends. That's what we want. We want never-ending stuff to do. And it doesn't need to give us crystals or anything like that. We don't care about your crappy crystals. We just want to log in and say, what am I going to do today? I'm going to do this. Because right now I log into WoW and I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't have to or need to or want to do anything now. Okay, I'll log out then. Bye.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I looked at other games, like Final Fantasy has that. And like a ton of people just do that in Final Fantasy. Like instead of hanging around in Orgrimmar, just AFK, they like hang out in their like guild housing thing, and then they're all together in a social area where they can just like run around and do whatever. And it's like you don't have to do anything there, but they're just all there.
Exactly. And you just give silly rewards. Like who cares if they get a portal to a zone or something like that if in that area, and then they can set their hearthstones there if they want to. Is it really a problem? No, it's not a problem for anyone. Is it a benefit? Barely. It just saves them going to the central city to portal to somewhere. They just go to their guild housing. Yeah. And it makes them, and then people, and not only that, but it actually like promotes people wanting to join guilds to go into their guild housing and see what that's like. And you probably even get like, when raiding was less accessible, I'm not saying it was better, but you probably heard the same thing in like vanilla TBC and even Wrath, where people would talk about what is it like to be inside Blackwing Lair? What's it like in, because it wasn't accessible. So people were like, what is it like in there? Tell me about it. And you're like, dude, there's giant dragons that change, you know, based on what you're firing, and they do all this, and there's these big stairs that lead upstairs, and you actually fight on the top of the mountain. You're trying to explain to people, and they're like, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Which LFR's taken a part of that away, but again, I have no issue with LFR either. It does what it does.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I enjoyed doing LFR. It's like I can just like hop on and experience the lore and like content of that dungeon, all while like kind of not paying attention.
Yeah,
like
I do wish it was a tier behind. I think that would be okay. Although people would lynch me for saying that, but I'm in the camp where I don't think you need to see the latest content the day it comes out, or even a few weeks after. I don't think you need to do that if you're not actively participating in that side of the game.
Yeah,
right.
I think it could be a tier behind too. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, just break it one tier behind. So, and that way you still get to see it. If you've like not been able to get into there to raid or whatever, then you'll still get to see it. It's no problem. Yeah. You still get all the access, and even we're at a stage now where LFR drops lesser gear than the outside zones. So I honestly am really confused why anyone would ever do like an LFR more than once now. You get lesser gear, it's harder to get, less chance of a drop, takes longer, it's more frustrating.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. I don't think people have really clocked on that the Tanan gear is actually better by like 10 item levels, I think. It's something crazy.
Yeah.
It's like 10 item levels better than what drops in LFR, and you get drowned in it. So, yeah, but you just fun.
Flashbacks to Star Wars Galaxies. Do you ever play Star Wars Galaxies?
A little bit, but again, my brother switched to it from Warcraft. He was done with Warcraft, and he switched over to it. And they were telling me how amazing it was, and this is my experience. This is why I didn't play Star Wars Galaxy. So I don't live with my brother. My brother, this is going to sound so weird, but my brother is from another mother.
Right.
Right? But he's older than me by like 20 years. Yeah. So his son is my age, so he was like my brother as well. Although my brother is my brother. So he had his own house where his kids lived. And occasionally at weekends, I would go and stay with my brother and his kids. And he had like 6 PCs set up in a games room because he was an IT guy. And everybody would just play WoW, essentially, every weekend. So I loved that. I'd go there and no parents would disturb me. My brother didn't care what I did. And he would just say, "There's your PC. Sit there for 2 days," and I would probably play for like 48 hours straight, and then go home. And one day I turned up. I walked through the door, and this is it. I got out of the car. I'm so excited. I've got the butterflies in my stomach that I'm about to sit and play WoW for 2 days straight. And this was probably during the Burning Crusade this happened, if my memory is correct. I walk through the door. I walk into the gaming room, Crendor, and then there's like sweat dripping from my brow to make sure nobody sat at my PC, because that means I might have to wait, and I don't want to do that. I want to sit down. I want to get logged in. I want to get partying. And I look over to the room, and what do I see on their screens? I don't see World of Warcraft. My gut sinks. My heart fell. I'm like, what is happening? And they're playing. They say to me, "We're not playing Warcraft anymore." All of them. And this is my brother, his son, and his 2 daughters. They're all MMO players. And I say, "What are you playing?" They're playing Star Wars Galaxies. But they're not playing the game, Crendor. They're not got their hands on the keyboard. They've got their feet up on the side, and they're watching something on the television, all of them. So I say, what are you doing in that game? What's happening? And they say, "We're leveling." I'm like, "You're not pressing any buttons, though." And they were leveling the dancing, I think.
Oh, God.
They were in a bar, and they were all... Somebody was playing music, and they were all dancing. And I looked at it. Yeah, and that was my Star Wars Galaxies experience, and I never wanted to play that game ever. And I just turned around and I loaded up WoW, put my headphones on, and joined Bedroll, and spoke to my friends for 2 days. And so no, I didn't play Star Wars Galaxies, as that didn't appeal to me in the slightest. But I was told it was a pretty good game. Although I remember being told he was explaining to me that not every character got to be a Jedi until that certain patch.
Yeah.
So you had to do something like /test the Force. And maybe you would get a reply saying you could barely sense the Force, which means your character could become a Jedi, but it wasn't guaranteed that everybody could do it, right?
But also, that patch that did that was a very shitty patch and ruined the game.
They all left at that patch.
Yeah, it was a terrible patch. I remember because I was playing, and I was like having a great time, because it was like, I think I was like level 40 in WoW, and I quit because I couldn't afford my mount, and I was like, I want my mount. And then I started playing that, and I was like, it was really fun. I was having a blast, and they're like, this new patch came out, and like everybody started quitting, and they're like, patch ruined it. And I was like, oh, but I love the game, and like I really enjoyed it. And like you could have houses. They had like giant plots of land with just houses. I remember I bought like a big ass mansion house, and I had like a speedrunner thing that I'd use to get there, and I like had just random furniture in it, and like weapons and stuff, and I was like, this is awesome. And then it's just all for nothing.
Yeah, I can't honestly ever see me playing another MMO. I can't see
I can't either.
No, I don't think I'd even want to at this point. I've been burned a few times, and it's I played Conan, I played Aeon, I played Warhammer,
Guild Wars,
Guild Wars 2.
Yeah,
my wife quite liked Guild Wars 2 for some reason, although she was terrible at it. But
I enjoyed the Guild Wars 2 leveling.
Yeah, she quite enjoyed it. She kept getting dragged into random events, around the world, and she seemed to really like that because there was loads of people there.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a gamer, I should point that out, so she kind of drift around. I played most of the new MMOs. I played WildStar. Well, WildStar asked me to play it.
Yeah.
I'd do a video on it, but I played it for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, and I just sent them an email saying, "Look, I'm not going to make a video on this. I don't want to be negative, but it's the same thing again, and I can see it going that way. So I'm not into it." And after that, I just thought to myself, do I even want to? I don't want to ever level again.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. I don't want to level from 0 ever again. And to relearn an MMO, considering how long it's taken me to learn WoW, I just don't want to do that again, especially with all the other cool games that are out there. I've played more games this week than I've probably had more fun in than I could play out of an MMO again. Yeah. Unless they took a total game changer. I mean, we could all pray for Star Citizen, but that'll be sometime in the distant future.
Like MMOs, like they had their big peak with WoW. Like I feel like WoW was like the MMO like era, and now I think we've moved on past that.
Well, no one's trying to change the game. I mean, WoW didn't change the game, but it took all the good stuff and did it better and added more on top of it, and it was a bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
And since that, I've never seen an MMO even try and really change the wheel.
Yeah.
And they even do it as a selling point, because when I told the guys, like, I played WildStar, it wasn't for me, people got angry because I said it was just kind of the same sort of thing again.
It's not the same.
Yeah, but within an hour, dude, I was on a planet, with a list of quests and points on a map, and I was off to grind and collect fucking carrots or whatever. You know what I mean? I was doing the same thing again. I was sifting through boar poo, looking for keys or whatever it might have been. I was doing the exact same stuff again. I was like, yeah, you're not trying to change the game at all. And their defense was they've openly said they're not trying to change the game. And I was like, well, then why would I play it? I don't understand. That's not an incentive to me. It's like, oh, well, you said you weren't changing the game. I'm not bashing on WoW here, but all these MMOs were very, very much the same thing. It's like, well, we'll change it ever so slightly, but not enough. And what was the last one I played? What was the big one? The Skyrim. Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
I played that, and I don't even know what was going on in that game. That just blew me away. It was so bizarre. It was so boring. Yeah. I don't know what is going on in this game. I put about 6 hours into it. I was like, I just don't. What is this game? Right?
Well, so many. Yeah, I remember I tried Age of Conan, and I was like, nah. And I tried Warhammer, and I was like, yeah. And I tried what was that other one? Lord of the Rings Online. I like that game because you could play musical instruments.
I feel awful about that game.
That's the only reason I really play.
It gives me nightmares because I streamed. People asked me to play it. This is
yeah. All right.
Let me apologize to all the Lord of the Rings fans right now, because I'm not a fan of the series. Really, I kind of semi-enjoy some of the scenes in some of the movies. That's about as far as I go. I've read the books, but wasn't a huge fan of them.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings Online, everyone asked me to play it, and I played a Hobbit. And because of the jumping physics, you might remember gnomes couldn't jump through water in vanilla.
Yeah.
Because they kept the hitboxes kind of realistic, and Taurens could have longer reaching distance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but obviously to counter that, eventually they had to fix it. But the graphics weren't really up to snuff in Lord of the Rings Online. So the first thing I did on my Hobbit was leap like some pole vaulter. Like I had jet hairy feet. My hairy Hobbit feet were fueled by the gods themselves. And I leaped over a fence so high, it looked ridiculous. And I started laughing my head off at this Hobbit that was just bounding across the land like the Incredible Hulk. And then the tutorial started, and one of the big tutorial points was how to open a door by right-clicking on it. It was, but the tutorial tooltip was something like how to door. I was like, how do you door? And they were like, approach door, right-click door, and that's how you door. It was something like that, and I just turned the game off at that point. I was like, this game is ridiculous. I have no. They lost me at that point. But that's how I feel about MMOs. I'm not specifically saying that about Lord of the Rings. When an MMO is giving me basically the same game, it's like when an FPS game teaches you WASD. You're like, dude, really? It's been 20 years, man. We know WASD by now. Can't you find a better way of doing this instead of a giant splash screen that says, if you press W, you move forward? It's like, whoa!
Like, what person's going to start using the arrow keys when they start playing a game? Like,
do you know anybody, Crendor, who never got through the opening of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which tutorial basically mocked exactly what I'm saying now? Yeah. And it was like move to move. And that was the tutorial in Blood Dragon. Because it was so obvious. Everybody knows this stuff. Stop asking us to tell me how to do it. So yeah, that was my take on it. So every MMO I feel like that now. As soon as it asks me to bind my spells to a bar, here's choose your profession. I'm like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want this to run into expansions. Because I just see the future. I see if I want to play this, I'm gonna have to put in probably what, 600-700 hours maybe. And I get that people say, oh, you're not allowed to hate on an MMO. And I think this is terrible, right? You're not allowed to really bash an MMO until you've tried the end game. It's like, whoa, you're talking about 40, 50, 60, 70 hours of gameplay to actually have an opinion on this. And you might be right, but would you play any other game for that length of time without saying, oh, you know what, this game's not for me?
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean? Would you put 70 hours into some game of Steam, even a AAA game, before going, now I can make an opinion on this? No, not really. You know after like 30 minutes whether you're going to play it or not.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel in MMOs. I put a little bit of time in, but until they change the game, nah. I can't see me ever playing another MMO.
Well, it's like Guild Wars 2 was like out of all the MMOs, because I played like pretty much every MMO since WoW that's come out. And like there's Star Wars Galaxies I enjoyed for a bit. Guild Wars 2 I enjoyed leveling, and I enjoyed a bit of the endgame PvP, and then like people just kind of ruined it as they're just like, we found the overpowered things to do. It's like, oh, all right, I don't care anymore. But Guild Wars 2 is probably the most I played an MMO that wasn't WoW since WoW.
I've been so invested in single player and just little mini online games. I find my time really stretched in. So even like League of Legends, I played League of Legends for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
when it first came out. But once the game started hitting 30, 40 minutes, I was kind of done with it at that point. I was like,
Yeah.
I haven't really got 40 minutes anymore to dedicate to sitting in a game and not wanting to
Especially
leave.
if you lose.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot of time. I find anyway, probably because I've got kids and stuff now as well. But
Yeah.
to sit down and say, well, I'm definitely going to have at least an hour uninterrupted, it just doesn't happen for me anymore. It really doesn't. So that's why I play Rocket League with my son. I mean, he's not even 2 yet, but
Yeah.
he likes the cars. His favorite game is Binding of Isaac. So
Yeah.
at some point, I'm probably going to take that game off him once he starts asking me questions about what he's looking at. But for now, it goes up, down, left, and right, and that's okay for him. He's never left a room yet, but other than that, but
Learning how
he
to
loves
move.
that game. Yeah, he does. He likes the tears. He doesn't know they're tears of a crying child locked in the basement. But he likes the thing that comes out of the eyes and shapes. He likes moving, and he likes Rocket League because it's got shiny cars in it with boosts and jumps.
I like Rocket League for that reason too.
But I'm a scrub me. I play it on my PS4. I refused to buy it because it was on the PlayStation Plus for free. So I refuse to pay for it now. I'm just not going to do it. It's not even expensive. I just don't want to because I already have it, and my PS4 is connected to my PC, so I don't want to do it.
I think the big reason people come back to WoW too is like they already have like a character they've invested time in. Plus, you have like the nostalgic memories bringing you back, and so I think a lot of the time it's just like, well, if I'm gonna play an MMO, I might as well play WoW because I already have so much time invested in it.
All it takes is one friend, right?
Yeah.
Coming back,
dude,
you want to
playing
come back
WoW
with me?
again? Yeah.
Like,
I haven't played it in a while.
Let's kick ass. Let's team up. Let's go and do some stuff and see what happens.
Remember that time we played vanilla WoW and did those things? Yeah, dude.
Let's go. Oh, that's all it takes. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Because again, you come back for the people. So if one of your friends Skypes you, is like, "Hey, I'm going to play WoW for a bit," you get that free trial. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you get like, "What are you going to do?" Don't know.
Like even when I think back to leveling in Guild Wars 2, and I was like, man, it was really fun. I also like leveled with Jesse doing that, and that probably made it a lot more fun than if I were just leveled by myself.
Yeah, I think in the Old Republic, I never capped in the Old Republic. I got invited by a friend to raid on his capped character. So I'm not. I'm a super fast leveler when I'm dedicated, but I was exploring so much in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and taking in the story and doing all the side quests and that datacron that was on the transport that took like an hour and a half to get, and you could still mess it up at the end and do have to do it again. I was doing all that kind of stuff, just goofing around and platforming everywhere. So I got my tank to like 50 or 55. And he said, "Do you want to play my character in the raid tonight?" And I did that and realized there's no end game here and instantly stopped playing. And I felt really bad at that point because I was really enjoying the game. I'll be honest, I never even finished the story, but I instantly discovered that, there's no end game here for me at all. And that logged out immediately. That was the closest I came to capping in another MMO. And that was purely because, again, I leveled with friends.
Did you ever play Warcraft 3, the RTS?
I went back and played it years after playing World of Warcraft.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I went back and played it, and I went back as far as playing Warcraft 1, and I had to get like a DOSBox emulator sort of sandbox thing to play it in. It was a terrible game. It's the worst thing I've ever played in my life. I did go back and do it. But yeah, it was good. I mean, it's very dated now for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any nostalgic feelings towards it, but it did. I'll tell you what it did do. It made me really appreciate a lot of the building designs, like even up till Walls of Draenor, and how faithful Blizzard has been to those Warcraft 3 designs. I mean, there's the same buildings you see in that game, like point for point, brick for brick, exactly the same to keep it in line with the universe. And I think that's pretty cool that in so long they've actually held off on sort of advancing things that much to still make it that Warcraft universe that everyone knows.
And they still kept that style of just like the characters and the environment and, like you said, the buildings. And like I think even though people are like, oh, it's outdated, it's like they've still updated it to a point where it still maintains that style and looks a bit more fresh.
Absolutely. It's got a polish. They've done everything with it without altering it to the point where you can play I think I even saw the Paladin blessings in Warcraft 3 are still the same that they are in World of Warcraft even today.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, that a design was made that long ago. And they're like, well, no. And you can imagine in the office, they're saying, no, that's what it looks like. That's what it looked like originally, and that's what it's going to look like. It might have new bells and whistles and a bit more flash and light, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's ballsy, honestly. I mean, you can't get most franchises to keep that sort of thing from game to game, let alone over like 6 expansions.
Actually, I think back to it, and it's like Warcraft 3, it made like it spawned a lot of game. Like it spawned World of Warcraft. It spawned League of Legends from having like Dota.
Yep.
And then I mean it spawned Hearthstone too, which is like now the biggest like card game, like virtual.
It's
card
crazy
game.
when you think.
It's
about
like
it.
You think it's like that
That's
game.
so bizarre.
Like that game alone just like spawned gigantic masses of games that are played.
Well, because of the story. I think it always comes back to, I mean, the story's gone off the rails recently. I mean, I'm not a lore guy by any means. That's why I always consult Novel. I'm like,
I do too.
Yeah, it's like, Novel, is this right? But even I managed to spare myself because I was sort of like a world first raider for a long time. I had to be like on the betas and testing all the bosses and doing the bosses really early and all that kind of stuff. And I was finally in WoD allowed to not do that, which is so refreshing. Yeah. I was allowed to not spoil the game for myself. So I did no beta raid testing or anything like that. It's like, do you coming around tonight? I'm like, nope, I'm not seeing anything. Don't tell me what happens. I don't want to know. And I didn't see the final cutscene of WoD until I killed Archimond normal. I think it was the first week anyway. And when it happened, even I, who has barely followed any of the story, went, what? Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. Didn't we just murder thousands of these people? And now we're all like the Goonies. At the end of the Goonies, we're all like, yeah, we're all buddies now. Chunk's here and Sloth's going to live with us. It's awesome. Yeah, he's a criminal and all that silly kills people. But it's okay now. We're all buddy. Urel's coming. She's going to do the hot dogs over there. And he's coming over here. And yeah, we're all fine now. And then we're going to meet up later. Like some sort of weird galactic team that just gets summoned into the fray at any moment. It's fine. It's no problem. I was like, what? You can't do that. Kakar's like, well, I guess my work here is done. I'm going to fly off into the distance now on my jet like Tom Cruise and Top Gun. He's like,
they're literally just like, we need to move past this expansion. It's just like,
this is the end of the expansion. Is like, and everybody lived happily ever. The end.
Gul'dan, who went on to do some crazy shit, and then he'll die, and then we'll be back to normal.
It's all a bit Scooby-Doo, though, because he'll be back. I watched it, I was like, really? And this had some of the best cutscenes ever. This expansion destroyed the cinematics team. Was amazing this time around. Like the cutscene on the boat with Rend, where she does the whole forever together thing. I was like, oh, the feels. You're crushing my heart, Paladin. I don't know who you are because I don't follow the lore, but I feel you.
Shout out to Taryn Gregory.
Yeah. And then they had the Thrall on the ridge with Garrosh. And he goes full Super Saiyan on him. He pulls out the elemental powers. And it's like, oh, so good. So good. And then that came out. And I was like, what?
Yep.
What? This doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to go back through the portal. No worries.
I pretty much had a video where all I did was like ask Noble, like, so why is this a thing? What's happening? Yeah.
I think you probably got asked by everybody for that. You're the lucky one who said yes to.
Yeah.
I Skyped him. I was like, have you seen the ending cutscene? He was like, yeah, I saw it when it released. I was like, huh. And he just went, don't worry, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, okay, cool. I was just double checking because I'm often wrong. It's a particular troll of my audience is to call weapons by the wrong name, like especially famous weapons. So we'll call like the Doomhammer Doombringer, and just and then not acknowledge the chat trying to correct me.
Oh yeah, I call Negran Nagrand. It freaks people out really badly.
Oh,
I'm like, oh yeah, over in Nagrand, they're just like, ugh.
You nightmare on legs. How do you even exist?
I don't think I do.
Don't call Archimond Archimond.
Archimond.
I used to call him Archie. Cause I don't care what his name is. He's a fictional demon guy. I know how to kill him. I killed him before. I killed him a couple of times now, actually.
Yeah.
And I used to just call him Archie. But I started saying it in one of my videos. It's like Archimond. And the people are like, what did you just say? Archimond.
Like you just killed their firstborn child.
I still can't get what's the big mega demon called? I'll tell you, and then you tell me the real way to pronounce it. You ready?
Yeah.
Sargeras.
I think it's Sargeras.
No, you're wrong. I'm right.
It's Sargeras. I don't even know what it is. I think it's Sargeras.
Oh, you know idea. The range you've just caused in this video.
Sargeras.
Crazy. I just read it as a
Sargeras.
Sargeras.
Maybe you gotta like roll the R like Sargeras.
Better than kill Jiden.
Yeah. Screw that guy.
Calathas.
Alright. That's probably a good place to end this. Okay. There's people raging in the comments. Leave your comment below if you have an opinion.
How do you say Sargeras? You're incorrect.
Alright, well, we've gone
cool, man.
an hour and 20 minutes. That's a long video.
I could keep going.
I know.
Only
I
because
could
I'm
too.
powered by your Skype picture, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great Skype picture.
So much effort got into it. There's a background.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
YouTube.com MikePreachWoW. Best YouTube link ever.
I mean, I don't know if I can.
Or just type Preach WoW or Preach Gaming.
I can think of a few better YouTube links, like
Yeah.
youtube.com/WoWcrendor. It's a good one.
Don't you want to drop the WoW there?
I tried making youtube.com/Crendor 6 years ago and it was taken.
Oh.
And
I
had
need
to
to
do
drop my
WoWcrendor.
moniker. I made this. I called myself Preach when I was 11 in an MMO, and I've not been able. If I knew then, it would go on to be known all across the world. I'd be like, oh my god, pick something better, please. But
Now I just make it like wow, Crendor. You know.
you got this big explosion. You need to firework with it. So Mike, you can also type Mike WoW, and you'll probably find me as well. I prefer Mike.
Mike.
Preach.
How about your Twitch? Do you have a Twitch?
Yeah, Preach LFW.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I will put both those links below the video for lazy people like myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But don't come to my stream if you want to watch Warcraft. We don't stream Warcraft.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah. We always stream different games.
It's a relaxing time.
It is. It is. We make WoW YouTube videos. We stream different games.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for asking me.
No problem.
Bye.
I always get really awkward when I end these things, partially because I like to end them really awkwardly.
Well, it's not easy to end a video.
Yeah.
I'll start a video. I started shouting holla for some reason. I don't even know if I did that.
Wait, holla?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Like the Nagrand holla.
No,
holla.
more like a Hawaiian greeting.
Oh. I mean, there's a holla in Nagrand.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, nothing to do with those goat people. No.
Yeah. I'm going to end the video.
Okay.